Alright guys, welcome back to another daily Bitcoin price action update. Let's talk about this continuation of the consolidation we're having. Not quite going parabolic just yet. I know I was pretty bullish in my last video, maybe a little bit too bullish because I actually forgot to cover some of the bearish confluences. Not saying that I'm actually bearish right now at all. No, I think this is still going to continue to make higher lows within here, and we should go parabolic sometime soon, assuming the S&P continues up, which we will talk about. The S&P's looking a little bit sketchy, right? We talked about how it still could be swing failure, sweep this week. We'll get into that here later on in the video, but let's talk about some of these bearish confluences we had in Bitcoin that could have signaled this small pullback, right, to flush those long positions, because there was a lot of top longers. Let me get that menu out of the right side of my screen, and we had simply hourly bearish divergence within here. You can see on price, higher highs on the RSI, lower highs on the 1 hour, as well as the 4 hour time frame. So definitely a big indication that we were likely to have at least a small pullback within here. Now, is the pullback already over? Has this bear div already played out? And I think, yeah, it easily could have. So still pretty optimistic overall. I think we're going to start heading on up and hunting for these volume levels that I keep talking about. The thesis is still the same. After accepting back of the value area high, you should go ahead and test value area low, because we've already tested this before, and the liquidity being built up above this, I do think getting above value area low is what's going to happen. And assuming that does happen, we're probably going to be flipping this into support. So this is what I'll be looking for going forward into the next couple of weeks or so. But right now, just kind of within the middle of our range, we do have some volume sitting right above us. You can see here a bit of a volume node that we're sitting on that visible range. If I actually pull this out a little bit further, you can see right there at about 60,000, 750, 850 actually. Definitely some volume there that could act as resistance. So we can mark that out, right? Let's see if we can actually flip this point of control right here. Let me turn this back to kind of white lines, what I normally use. I just had this pink lines for my thumbnail yesterday, which we will actually talk about, because I thought cleaning up the chart like that really showed the thesis pretty well. But yeah, this was around 850. As you can see, these nodes are going to change depending on the time frame, so not exact, but certainly this range up here. Let's see if this can flip back into support and head on up. And yeah, I do actually expect that to happen, and for us to march on up. Like I just said, base case is we're going to accept this range up higher. And then let's look at trading light, because I didn't cover that in yesterday's video, but we did have some stuff in the order flow that's somewhat noteworthy, I guess. We have some longs coming in right at the top here, so it could have indicated that we were going to have a pullback to flush these long positions. So you see, as price comes up, we see open interest start to increase pretty aggressively. CVD start to increase pretty aggressively towards the top, though. We have CVD going pretty sideways here, right, even trending down. So essentially within this price right here, that is going to be shorts and longs opening. So a lot of shorts are on the wrong side of the market. They're continuing to get squeezed while you have buying pressure. So this is actually very healthy price action. But then when you do get towards the top, after shorts are being placed into the order books, you start squeezing them. Then we have a lot more longs FOMOing into the market. So this move is all longs opening, and that would have signaled that, hey, potentially all these longs that are FOMOing in may be getting trapped up at the highs if price is to roll over. Not always do aggressive longs get trapped. Sometimes they do just send price to the moon. But what we see is that price comes down, and as price comes down, these longs are not closing out. A lot of times when you have a lot of longs opening, you get quick flushes down like so that will close out the longs. But when this happened, you actually didn't see the longs close out, right? Open interest remained high. So all these longs that FOMO'd in are now underwater. So that is why price probably didn't want to go untrap them. And as we started to build these lower highs within here, you see shorts opening. CVD is going down. Shorts are now in control of the market. These longs over here are now trapped. So price is not likely to accept back up until you close out all of those top longers. And that's exactly what we see happening here. Big flush on your price, and this in fact does close out all of those long positions. Big open interest reset, and then we see a big resumption here on price, and then this order flow within this range isn't too noteworthy, as we've had just kind of choppy action. Longs and shorts are opening and closing. Open interest is more going down rather than anything. So nothing super convincing going on in the charts. Would I be surprised if we sweep the lows like this once again? Absolutely not. Would I be surprised if we just continue this trend? Absolutely not. So while I'm still very bullish on the macro, shorter term time frames, pretty 50-50. I can't really tell you what's going to happen. I think the higher lows are probably going to hold, but what we really have to focus on is the S&P 500, because we had talked about this potentially being resistance, right? Because we were at value area high. I said resistance is resistance until we flip it into support. This could be a sweep of this level here, right? We had the sweep of liquidity, and then we had a secondary sweep up into that value area high, and we did have a swift rejection getting all the way back under this value area low. So now we need to see this get reclaimed, right? We don't want to see the price just continue down here. I want this to be just a quick flush on your leverage and then getting back above volume, and then we can finally shoot for those all-time highs. I think, there's probably a lot of people FOMOing into the S&P right now, or your larger cap stocks, that sort of thing, because they're getting close to all-time highs. Whenever charts get close to breaking out of their highs, retail loves to FOMO into them, and that's why you usually get swift corrections heading up into that range. But certainly we are starting to find some nice support within here. So assuming the S&P can continue up, if we can go ahead and flip this volume back into support, I think that's going to be a good catalyst for Bitcoin. And I think Bitcoin will continue these higher lows, higher highs, and it can go parabolic very, very soon here. As soon as the S&P breaks into all-time highs, you're going to see Bitcoin launch, in my opinion. But certainly we need to keep a close eye on the S&P because we do not want it to just roll over right now. Of course, that would be pretty bad news for us. So far on the S&P, though, we're still holding support on the daily close, and this could easily just be a quick flush before we do, in fact, break all-time highs. I would not be surprised to see that at all. We go over to the Russell as well, though, and we can see Russell, while it's still maintaining these higher lows within here, we did lose the value area low, though. So let's see if we can maintain the higher lows on the Russell and get back above. And assuming this can get back above, that is going to signal a big altcoin run, in my opinion, because this is lower cap indexes in the stock market, more risk on assets. And of course, assuming that does happen, our risk on assets in crypto look really, really good. Total 3 is shaping up to have a big move here. This is the big point of resistance we got to be careful of. But I do think we're going to get up there, and I actually think it will flip into support, and we can go up on higher. But once again, let's just watch these charts closely. Resistance is resistance until it just flipped into support. But another confluence for your altcoin market is Bitcoin dominance. We talked about how this looked like a double bottom, could come up here again before rolling over, and we're already starting to roll over. Will this actually make a lower low? Hopefully so, because I'm sure a lot of you guys hold mostly altcoins out there. I know I do. I would rather, try to find larger returns on my money. Of course, you got to do your own research, though. There are a lot of projects out there that are just going to underperform Bitcoin in all situations. But if you find the right projects, altcoins can definitely be a nice wager in crypto. Even in sideways markets like today, a lot of altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin, such as we can see here with Bitcoin dominance going down once again. So potentially we do see an altcoin season very soon. And then lastly, I wanted to touch on the dollar, because we had talked about support is support until it is broken. And even though it was looking structurally very bearish, I had said probably going to see a bounce up here, and we have in fact saw that. Now we're back up at this level. So let's see, this is a previous low end range level as well. So let's see if this actually gets flipped into resistance. That would be extremely bullish for our markets, or if this is going to get reclaimed back into support. Once again, dollar is inversely correlated with crypto. So we just want this to continue down, but this could be another reason why Bitcoin pulled back, the S&P pulled back. We had a lot of confluences actually yesterday for a bit of a pullback. So I just wanted to cover some of those things, but still overall on the macro, still very bullish on crypto. But just be aware, nothing is guaranteed. It's all probabilities, and there are a lot of indications on the chart that could play out bearish. If the dollar were to flip this into support and start firing off, if the S&P were to truly roll bearish here and this becomes a high, right? If this is actually your macro top for the S&P, of course, that's going to be very bad for crypto. And even though all of these highs in here are pretty bad, and I'm pretty confident they're going to get swept, right? We're going to go up here higher on Bitcoin. Nothing's ever a guarantee. So always make sure you're doing kind of your own analysis and putting your own thoughts into the market. Don't just rely on what I'm saying. And then also I said I'd cover what I used in yesterday's thumbnail, using some bright pink lines that stand out, and you can easily see that we have a range of low that has been tested multiple times, and we have flipped that into support. So our next target would likely be range highs, and with this poor high structure within here, if we do squeeze up to that range high, very likely we're going to do a full hunt of the liquidity sitting above $74,000. But yeah, if you guys have any thoughts about anything I talked about in today's video, or just want to join the community for this channel, link to my Discord is in the description down below. Below that link is a VIP Discord specifically for leveraged trading. Click on that link to learn more about it, because it is 50% off right now, only for a limited time. That's only going on for about another week. So you can get it $20 for your first month using code EAGLE. Also below those links are a bunch of exchange partner links, some of which have exclusive limited time events going on right now, so don't miss out on that. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.